Thanksgiving is coming and we're having a Talking Sopranos Black Friday sale. Get 20% off. That's 20% off all official Talking Sopranos merchandise by using the discount code TALKING, T-A-L-K-I-N-G. It all starts Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, November 26th, and runs right through Cyber Monday, November 30th. Just go to TalkingSopranos.com and enter the discount code TALKING, T-A-L-K-I-N-G, to get 20% off.
All right, buddy. You good?
I'm good.
You know, I got my hoodie. You see that? This is a Talking Sopranos.
I haven't seen
hoodie.
that yet.
It's got the logo. Where is it? It's got the logo on the front.
There you go.
And then big on the back.
Sopranos. I like it. I like it very much.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I like it. And I got a long sleeve.
You got the long sleeve. That's nice.
I got a long sleeve merch. Christmas is coming.
You don't need to wear anything else but
Just
Talking Sopranos stuff.
Head to toe, Talking Sopranos. Now, you know, I got to tell you something, Michael. There's an asswipe named Walter. And Walter didn't like that, for some reason, that story that I told about Scientology a couple of weeks back.
Why not?
He says I told it twice. He says he told it twice, and Michael makes believe he doesn't hear it. Now, we've done 30-something of these. It's hard to keep track of everything we talk about. We're just two friends having conversations.
Right.
And I'm sure in real life, when we're not on camera, I tell you the same shit and vice versa. But
well, you also do interviews, and you're talking about your career when we were promoting the show, and you do interviews for other shows, and you talk about show business.
You lose track. But there's a guy named Walter who's an asshole. And he has to fucking make a remark. He can't just be happy with our show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the fucking Scientology story. From now, what episode is this?
This is 30-something.
Whatever, for the next 50 fucking episodes, I'm going to tell you this story. So, Walter, you ruined it for the whole fucking class, and you could shove the story up your fucking ass. All right? So, Michael, I get a call.
Maybe put this in the video, the afterlife. Yeah. Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world. That's the name of it. You know, I've been talking to some networks.
Okay.
Netflix is interested in it. Pay-per-view, right. Amazon, they're interested in screening it.
Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world. I like the title.
That's the name of it. Yeah, that's the name of it.
And
it won't be released till after you die.
That's it.
You know, your family gets all the proceeds. I'm not getting anything.
But you're going to narrate it for me.
I'm narrating it gratis as my own tribute to you. But I got a lot of interest. I've been pitching it.
I like it.
They're very interested.
I like it.
They're hoping. They're hoping it could come on next year, but I said I can't guarantee anything. But you know,
please, not yet. Give me a little time. So
they want to do a mid-season replacement for some shows that aren't working, but I said we can't guarantee anything like that. That's not going to work.
You know, you went above and beyond for me. So, Michael, I got a call from my agent, and the agent says you want to read a voiceover. It's an L. Ron Hubbard book. I say, okay, the guy's going to pay me. So I go over there. There's three guys. I meet them. Hey, we love you. We love the show, blah, blah, blah. Before we get started, I got to go to the bathroom. Take the guy to the bathroom. He's showing me the way. I said, hey, by any chance, those guys in there Scientologists? He says, no, they're not, but I am. Check, please. Now, Walter, that's for fucking you, and you're going to hear it 50-something more fucking times. All right? There you go.
And, Walter, we're going to send you a Talking Sopranos, a set of headphones, Walter. for getting Steve so riled up.
Yeah,
So all our viewers, if you get Steve this riled up, you get a set of Bose headphones from now on.
Don't say that, because then they'll all do it. Walter ruined it for the whole class. You know, you had that bad kid in class. He always ruined it for everybody. Like the gym, everyone had to do sprints. Everyone had to run because there's the bad guy, and Walter's that bad guy. So there you go. I like the title. Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world. Not bad.
It's got potential. Maybe you should do it. Maybe you should do it while you're alive. This way you can, benefit from it. It may be a whole new. It might be its own show. I don't know. Maybe that could be a pilot.
A genre.
Every week, you just fucking.
Believe me, there's plenty. There's plenty out there. It's tough out there. All right, so we've talked. I know we've talked in the past about actors that we've worked with, directors we've worked with, people we've liked, people we haven't liked, and you've worked since what was your first gig? What year was your first gig?
In movies, 1988 was a movie called Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman, directed by John Alvidson, the director was very mean and very impatient. He was a little overwhelmed. He directed Rocky and The Karate Kid. Morgan Freeman, I had a little interaction with him. He was very good. But they cut my line from the movie, but you can see me. Somebody sent me a still from that movie when you see me looking at Morgan Freeman.
Do you get residuals?
I think we shot that in Paterson, New Jersey. I still get residuals from that movie. Not a lot, but still do, yeah. So I got my SAG card from that movie, Lean on Me. That was a true story about Principal Joe Clark, principal in New Jersey.
Good movie.
But Morgan Freeman, great actor. I worked with, I've worked with some great. I think I'll tell you. Besides The Sopranos, right? Because there's so many great actors, like Edie and Jim and you and Johnny, and goes on and on. Maybe John Voight, kind of at the top of the list.
Is your most favorite guy to work with, or most famous?
Favorite. He just was. First of all, he was one of my idols, one of the reasons I became an actor. Particularly for Midnight Cowboy, and then Coming Home. But Midnight Cowboy, and we did a movie called Five People You Meet in Heaven, and I had a lot of stuff with him, and acting with him was just like having fun, and he was so into it and worked so hard, but liked to laugh. When in between scenes, we would go in his trailer and watch Sid Caesar, the show of shows, like reruns of comedy skits, and he would just crack up, but he was like playing all the time, like just having fun and discovering stuff. And there was something very innocent about his whole approach to working. And he was such a generous actor, so present, and just so good. He's so good.
He's great. Great. And then you introduced me to him.
Really, that was a highlight. Yeah, I'll tell you another interesting experience I had. I worked with Christopher Walken on a movie called Last Man Standing, directed by Walter Hill, another great director who did. Walter Hill wrote The Getaway with Steve McQueen. He also directed. He did the Warriors. He did Hard Times with Charles Bronson. A lot of good movies, and a great guy and a great director. But Chris Walken. So I had a scene with him. He kidnaps me in the movie. But what I noticed, what he did that particularly blew me away, and Chris Walken's a fantastic actor. I mean, he's always good. One of my favorites. But, so you shoot a scene and you have the two main actors. In this case, it was me and him maybe, or me, him, and another actor. And you shoot our coverage. And then you have extras in the scene, right? So after you get the main dialogue, the director might start shooting some angles on extras to get their reaction. So when you cut the scene, you have a lot of different places to cut. The extras are watching this showdown between the two main characters. And often that happens, after the scene is shot, the extras are just reacting to maybe stand-ins or the first AD, first assistant director's telling him, hey, look over here and pretend you're stunned or something. Chris Walken was behind the camera doing his lines for extras' reactions.
Wow. Wow.
He wasn't off. All right, you got me. You got my lines. I'm going in my trailer. I'm going home. I'm going to the hotel, whatever it was. We were on location in El Paso. He was behind the camera doing stuff, and not only doing his lines, but doing it even bigger to get the extras to react even more, to give them, to be even more generous to these guys. Now that's a pro.
Yeah.
And Chris Walken was one of the most professional, prepared, and another just really, really generous actor. That blew my mind when I saw that, because I had been around a while and I hadn't seen that a lot. That was really cool.
You've also worked with guys that they don't want. There's a lot of actors, for whatever fucking reason, they're very selfish. So when it becomes time for you to do the scene, and the camera's on you, they take a hike, and you have to do the scene as opposed to the guy starring with you.
That's a star move, yeah. That's a big shot move that they do to somebody who's lower on the totem pole. That's a scummy move, yeah.
That's really
really wrong. Another one, I'll tell you another highlight. Ellen Burstyn. She played my mom in a movie called For One More Day. Ellen Burstyn is a acting genius. Just, you've seen Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, The Exorcist. Those are two of her really great roles. But she's just, you don't really have to work when you're acting with someone like that. You just need to be present and react off what they're doing, because they're so in the moment and they're so good. You know who else was? I did a movie with Vera Farmiga called Love in the Time of Money, an indie movie. Mm-hmm. Steve Buscemi was in it as well. Rosario Dawson was in it. My stuff was all with Vera Farmiga, and Vera plays Livia Soprano in The Many Saints of Newark. Vera Farmiga is a force of nature. I think one of the best we have right now. She is tremendous. I really liked her. And another favorite of mine, you played opposite in the movie The Hungry Ghosts. I wrote the part for her and I directed her. I haven't acted with her, but Ingenue Ellis is one of my favorites. I think she's a really good actress.
I enjoyed working with her a lot. Yeah.
She's one of the best we have. Who are some of your favorites?
I also enjoy. Well, in Hungry Ghosts, I enjoyed work. A lot of times it's not necessarily a big name. That I just, you do a scene and you say, this is why I became an actor. I mean, I really enjoyed this. There's some days you do the scene, you do it, you do the best you can, it works, and you go home. It's like, punching a clock. And then there's some days you go, man, that just felt so good. This is why I became an actor, right? You felt like that. You feel like
God,
that.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing better than that. It's just everything's working. And Paul Calderone, in Hungry Ghosts, I had a big scene with him.
Great.
And,
tremendous actor.
what's the kid that played my son?
Emery Cohen.
Great young actor. You gave him his first shot. He's kind of a big actor now. And Paul is an acting coach, and just wonderful, man. Just, not a household name, but if you see him, you know him. I really enjoyed that. I also work with Ernie Hudson, who's been in
He's great.
every goddamn thing. He played my therapist in a series, and I worked with him a handful of times, and I had that feeling there with Ernie. Just good, really.
Well,
good
Paul
stuff.
played your therapist too, Calderon.
In Hungry Ghost, I also worked with Kate Winslet, who was great and a lot of fun on the Woody Allen movie. Jim Belushi, who I had heard, believe it or not, I didn't hear good things about him from people, and then when I worked with him on this set, he was terrific. Just couldn't be a nicer guy.
See, you never know, because I didn't hear good things about you, and then we became great friends. Before you came on The Sopranos, there was like I said, there was a lot of stuff coming out of Vegas.
Yeah.
And, you can't judge. You never should judge based on, you got to take each experience. You know who else was genius? Mira Sorvino, I did a movie with her and Paul Calderon called
I
Sweet
like her.
Nothing that you can't even find anymore. I think it never even came out on DVD. It's only on like VHS. Kind of disappeared. I'm very proud of it. It's a really good indie, but Mira, top notch in my book.
She won Academy
love
Award.
watching her too. Great in Mighty Aphrodite. She was also great in Summer of Sam. She's awesome. One of my favorites.
You know who I worked
Jared
with?
Harris. Do you know Jared Harris?
No.
He's in a lot of movies, but he played Andy Warhol in I Shot Andy Warhol. Great actor, son of Richard Harris, the great Richard Harris. But Jared's equally as good as his dad, but maybe better. He does a lot of movies now. He was in The Crown. He was in the first season of The Crown. He played the king, the father of Queen Elizabeth. Who was that, King Edward, was it?
You're asking the wrong
Could
guy.
be wrong.
Why the hell do I know?
He's a wonderful actor. I got to rehearse with Anthony Quinn, which was tremendous. Wow. I don't know if I discussed that on this show or not, but I rehearsed Jungle Fever. He played John Turturro's father. And we were rehearsing, and John couldn't make the rehearsal, so Spike asked me to read John's stuff in the rehearsal. It was me, Frank Vincent, and Anthony Quinn rehearsing one afternoon, and that was really cool. Yeah, Anthony Quinn was cool, man.
Yeah. You know, I did a Law and Order and Sam Waterston, who I'm a fan of and have been a fan of, and it was late at night, that courtroom stuff, and they shot him. They shot his side, and listen, I was a guest star. Nothing with nothing. He stayed. He stayed and did his side in our scene.
That's a pro.
I'll never forget that. He was wonderful, and I was a real fan of his. I worked with, of course, Peter Falk, which I've discussed. He's my mother's favorite actor, and I loved working with him in The Last Columbo. I worked with Joe Mantegna on a movie called The Runner, who I like Joe very much, a great actor and an even better guy. He's a solid guy, not a show busy guy at all, and a great actor. I worked with Kevin Corrigan twice.
Kevin's a tremendous actor. I love him, and a good friend of mine.
Detroit Rock City, when I was first starting out, I had seen him and Natasha Lyonne, and then I worked with him on Blue Bloods. And one of my favorite people to work with is Bridget Moynihan. I work with her.
I like her
every day.
She's
you worked with a very underrated actress. She is
really good.
Prepared. She's great. She knows her shit, and I really can't tell you how much I enjoy going to work and working with her. She's really a pleasure to work with. I got very lucky getting the role and being with her all the time. I'll tell you that. I worked with Christopher Walken twice. Kill the Irishman. And Jersey Boys. When I worked at Kill the Irishman, instead of a belt, he was wearing a rope around his pants when he came to the set. And then I was shaving him at the very beginning of Jersey Boys. I had a little role, and we spent a half a day together, and very entertaining, as you know.
He's great. And what about Pacino?
I've never worked with him. I would like to work with him. I work with Fuckface instead, De Niro. I would much rather have worked with Pacino.
I never got to work in a movie or play, but I rehearsed with him. And Al was another. When I was a kid, one of the other. It's him and John Voight, I would say, the two actors that really made me want to do this. But Al, Johnny Ventimiglia did a play with Al.
Yeah.
The Arturo Ui, Irresistible Rise of Arturo Ui, that by Brecht, with Steve Buscemi and John Goodman, and it was a really good production. But Johnny calls me and said, Al wants to rehearse Merchant of Venice. He needs some actors to come in. And I knew Al a little bit. Al was always really cool to me, and I loved Al, So I said, yeah. So I thought it was going to be in like a theater or something like that. I get there, it's an apartment building. It was Al's house.
Wow.
I go upstairs. Al opens the door. It's his apartment. I walk in. It's me, Al, Johnny V, and my friend Anna George, who's an actress that I know. That was it. I thought it was going to be like a whole cast. Yeah, beautiful apartment. You know, I thought it was like in a theater with a director and other actors. It was four of us sitting in Al's living room for an afternoon reading Shakespeare.
Wow.
And I think he was preparing the movie. He had already done the play or vice versa. But, and I didn't know the material. I was reading off it, and Al was just like ferocious. I mean, he was this guy, and it was, it was like really trying to keep up because he was,
Yeah.
and I'm just kind of half in it and half out of it. Part of me is like, I'm in Al's house. I'm sitting next to him. I'm reading with him. It was hard to kind of
That's pretty goddamn cool.
to keep it together, but that was a great experience.
You know who I've talked about before? Robert Foster. I liked him a lot. CCH Pounder. Do you know her?
She's a great actress.
Fantastic.
I worked with her on something.
I worked with
her on Detroit 187.
I liked her very much, and a great actress. I worked with Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, on a show. I worked with him. He was terrific. Wow. Ray Stevenson, Kill the Irishman. Ray is a really good actor. I like Ray a lot. I also work with I work with Wayne Newton on a HBO special as an actor.
Oh, did you? Did you know him from Vegas already?
No, I never knew him. No. I work with Wayne Newton. I work with Shecky Green. I played his driver. We filmed, and I drove him up and down the great comic. He was a lot of laughs, and it was like 110 degrees. I'm in a tuxedo driving a convertible around up and down the strip all day long in Vegas. That was very early on, one of the earliest things I've done. David Arquette, I did a movie with. People think David is a goofball. David is a really serious actor and a really good guy.
Well, his sister's one of the best actresses I've worked.
I know you're friendly.
That's another one I want to put. I've done 2 movies with her. We did the Wannabe that Nick Sando directed, and I did a movie called My Friend VJ. We did it actually in Germany and Luxembourg. I don't know if it ever came out here. It was a German film shot in English, but she's always great and a pleasure to work with. I really like working with her. Ben Gazzara, that was a highlight. Seymour Cassell.
Do your impression.
2 Cassavetes.
What did he do?
Ben was like, I don't wear makeup. I have a tan.
I worked with another obscure one. I did a movie called Play It to the Bone. Jennifer Flowers, the one that claimed that she was stripping Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
That was a big controversy, and I sat with her literally at this cocktail party.
Did you grill her about that?
Oh yeah, we talked for literally
I'm
hours.
Sure you did.
Hours, and she told me everything. She was happy to tell her story, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. But she went into detail about her and Hillary knew, and ... So that was kind of, where do you fucking work with her? I never expected anything like that, of course.
Now, who would you want that you haven't worked with that you'd want to, living or dead?
I mean, I would love to do a scene with Al Pacino, Burt Lancaster. He's my probably all-time favorite actor.
Really? Yeah.
I like him. Charles Bronson, though I don't know if he was a great actor or not. He was a great character. I don't know.
Yeah.
What he did was, I loved that stuff with those movies he did. Of course, Death Wish and The Great Escape and
Hard Times,
Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
He was a movie star, man. Could he do everything? No, but I don't know who can. Very few people, right? Could play any character. There's a guy named Peter McNeil. He's a Canadian actor, and he's done. If you look him up, that's another thing. You work with a guy and you're not really familiar with him or his work, and then maybe you look him up or somebody will tell you, and then you see that this guy's done 200 This guy Peter McNeil's done 70-something movies, 120 TV titles, and you go, I mean, I had no idea. They didn't become stars, but they're solid actors that have worked for 40 years, and they're really, really good. And with the right break, the right role, they would have became a star. And there's a whole ton of those people out there, a ton, And this Peter McNeil, he's. I remember I was shooting in Halifax, and Jason Priestley, who's another guy I enjoy, and he's a friend of mine, and I'm staying in this little kind of cabin on a bread and breakfast. They put me up there. To get to Halifax was hard. Then another hour. I'm in the middle of the woods. It's 8:30 in the morning. I got to knock on the door. I mean, I'm sleeping. I'm in my underwear, and I open the door, and it's Peter McNeil. And he just fucking walks in. It's very bizarre. And I said, well, what's happening? Really? He goes, we got some scenes together. I want to introduce myself. And I just sat in the living room in my underwear, and we talked for a while. And
in your underwear?
I was in my underwear. I was sleeping. And he came in. He walked right in. And he was very funny and a terrific guy. I played a gay mobster. It was called Call Me Fitz. It was a Canadian show. And it was a very funny show, and I had scenes with Peter. And if you look him up, you've seen him in everything, man. Once you see someone, then they keep popping up. I enjoyed working with him a hell of a lot. I worked with him a few times. Robert Forster, like I said, and Matt Damon I worked with, who I liked a lot, and Bryce.
I never worked with him, but I played blackjack with him. And he's a really nice guy. I liked him. I like Matt Damon a lot. Yeah, he's a very good actor, man. I think kind of underrated in a way.
Oh, absolutely, because he's not really he's not all over the fucking place. He's got a family, and he does his thing, and he's excellent. Low key, and
I agree.
Very helpful, and it's a nice atmosphere. Some guys make it tense, like directors. I told you that jack-off director. That really one of the few times that I had a bad time, that Rob Schiller, his name is. He's still out there. And I did King of Queens when I first started. Kevin James and Jeff Sussman were nice enough to get me the role. This guy treated me like a fucking asshole. Like a real asshole. For no reason. I mean, what was my little bullshit? I had 2 lines. And, you get off on treating me like an asshole, And directors, as you know, they could, help you have a great performance or a really shitty performance, And this guy is one of the few that really, he's stuck in my crow. We're talking over 20-something years later. The guy is one of the few that I could say,
He came right to mind. Yeah, he's...
really, because I haven't had, I'll be honest, even with the actors, I don't think I really had any. If an actor doesn't know their lines and not prepared, to me, that's a no-no. It's unprofessional, disrespectful to the other actors. Hey, you can be in the scene and you're having trouble, for whatever reason. You got the material late, whatever it is, You have the material late. It's just not happening. But when you didn't prepare because for whatever reason you think the material's beneath you, and I've worked with some actors like that.
That's no good.
And it's very bad. Those are the only bad experiences for the most part. And the same thing with directors. Dave Barrett, you work with Dave on Blue Bloods. I love Dave Barrett. This guy gives a shit.
I worked with him on Life on Mars too.
He gives a shit. He really comes to work. He gives a shit, and what else can you ask for? The no preparation. And there's a lot of people, they just disrespectful to the crew, to the cast, because you're going to be there because they decided they don't want to do the work, So there you go. Let's take a break, man.
All right. Before we take a break, I want to shout out my buddy Ahmad from Brooklyn Moving Incorporated. We just did a cross-country move, and anybody who's thinking of it, cross-country, local, interstate, within the state, call Ahmad at Brooklyn Moving. Tell him I sent you.
He's the man. Michael Imperioli sent me.
That's my name, Imperioli.
Mike, is that it?
That's it. Yeah. You got
Michael
it.
Imperioli.
All
You know,
right.
and you know what? The stuff, and I'm not just blowing smoke over here, seriously. The stuff we've done on Stewie, and we did House. The stuff that we've done together, I've enjoyed working with you. It's a nice experience.
Yeah, directing you. You were very professional,
You know.
which I appreciated on The Hungry Ghost. You always knew your lines.
Well, you know.
You're willing to take chances, which is good.
You know. All right, man. Very good.
All right,
Let's
we'll be
take
right
a
back.
break. All right, we are back. Now you wrote this episode, the Telltale Moozadell.
Moozadell. This is the second out of 5 episodes that I wrote. The title comes from Edgar Allan Poe's the Telltale Heart. We talk about Jackie Jr.'s doing a paper on Edgar Allan Poe. But when I was in high school, I think I was in 10th grade, and I had a really good teacher, English teacher, who used to take us to see Broadway shows and stuff like that. But we had to read a short story. And she wanted us to kind of bring it to life. And I chose the Telltale Heart, which I love Edgar Allan Poe. I'm a big fan of his writing. I think he's one of the greatest American writers. So I remember acting this, and it's told from the first person, like it's like a confessional monologue, really. And it was one of the first acting things I ever did. And she said to me, 14, 13. And she said, you should do theater. And I didn't want to do theater. You know what I mean? There was theater kids in my school, and they weren't people that I particularly felt a kinship to or anything. But she was like, no, I think you really need to. Remember, she told me that. A lot of the class kind of liked what I did. It was, whatever.
So she was an influence.
So I have a connection. She's a big influence. Mrs. German, Cicely German, was a big influence. She took me to see. Well, they were musical. Well, we saw a Shakespeare play. No, we saw The Cherry Orchard at Westcon College in Danbury, Connecticut. But then she took us to see Barnum on Broadway, which was Glenn Close and Jim Dale. And I didn't know much about theater. It was a musical. I wasn't really into musicals, but it was something about being in the theater that I remember leaving, getting on the school bus to go back home, and I was depressed. I didn't want to leave. I just was like, this is where I want. There was something about being there that really.
Is she still alive, you think?
Yeah, no, she lives across the street from my aunt. Actually, my aunt still sees her. I see her once in a while. Yeah, she was a very big influence and very, very good lady.
I like to hear that. I like those stories.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something. When you're writing an episode like this, do you write the title?
I think that was David's title. I think I called it Nirvana, actually. I think that was my original title for this episode. Sometimes, very often you don't know the title till it's done. And it's all edited.
I'm just saying, but you put a title on. You put a title on.
No, that was David's title. Okay. Like From Where to Eternity, that was my title.
Okay.
This one, I think I named it, my working title was Nirvana, which ultimately doesn't really work, per se, for the episode as well as this does, for a number of reasons. And it's kind of funny, I think. Dan Attias.
I never worked with him.
He did 3 episodes. I liked working with him a lot. Very good. He did tons of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He did Walking Dead, Deadwood, Alias, The Wire, Entourage. Lots of really good TV. Very good director.
And you were not, because the writer usually is on set the entire time, and you were not.
So I don't think I was for this. I did that more in the last 2 episodes that I wrote. I didn't do it for the first couple, maybe because I was busy doing acting. I don't really remember exactly why or why not, or I wasn't ready for that. But
it's a great episode.
But I haven't seen this episode since it aired, probably, and I was very happy watching it. I'm proud of what I did. It's nice to be able to feel that you don't, and there's a lot of cool specific stuff here. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, it's an episode that's a lot is brewing for later. You know what I mean? Setting things in motion.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those episodes that are.
But
but no, it's a. But
within
episode.
that, there's good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. The Soprano house. Carmela comes home. Tony's singing "Happy Birthday, Baby." He gives her a huge ring. Uh, then here comes, it's her birthday. Here comes AJ. He gives her a DVD of The Matrix.
Right.
He's got it in a plastic bag. Meadow comes in and gives Carmela a day of beauty, a spa, gift certificate. She put it on her credit card, and of course, she
put it on his
herself.
credit card.
Yeah.
She put it on Tony's credit card. She got one for herself. Well, this episode has a lot to do with gifts. Interestingly enough, later on in the bedroom, Tony's watching a movie called It's a Gift, starring W.C. Fields. And there's lots of gifts being given, but they're often for very self-serving purposes. Like she's buying a day spa gift, but she's also getting herself one, and she's not even paying for it. Meadow. DVDs of The Matrix. Obviously, that's something AJ wants to see. It's not really up Carmela's alley. Also stars Joey Pants, which is Joey Pantoliano, who's also in this episode.
Did you make
even
a
the
conscious
ring,
choice there to do The Matrix?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Even the ring. Now, that's a sapphire ring from Harry Winston. That's probably nowadays about $8,000, that ring. Back then, maybe 5, 6. Is he buying it because he's having an affair and he feels guilty and what's going on? There's the gift that he gives. Christopher gives Adriana the gift of the club, but it's really his business and the owner's still tied to it. It winds up being her undoing later on. There's Tony gives Melfi a gift as a tip, some cash. He gives Gloria the wallet. They give AJ the gift of not expelling him. There's a lot of that kind of quid pro quo thing happening in this episode. Meadow mentions her friend Bathsheba told her about this Belladonna Day Spa. I think I was listening to a lot of Pixies, the album Doolittle. There's a song called Dead where he talks about Bathsheba. I think that's why I chose that name for some reason. Just a little.
The Lollipop,
nugget.
The Lollipop Club.
Lollipop was a club that Vinny once owned on Main Street in New Rochelle. And then my friend Fernando, my best friend Fernando, his uncle took it over and changed it to Habitat and then changed it to Tropicana. But I think it was called Lollipop because a guy named Ronnie Lolly also owned it with Vinny. It was also a place with a lot of underage kids.
Well, that's what you were drinking at 13 there, right?
I don't know. Not that young, but and then but it was called Lollipop, and then we changed it, and Adriana calls it Crazy Horse. That was the name of Vinny's club that he had for many years with live music, and he was kind of known for that club. So it's a little tribute to Vinny Pastore.
So he owned the Lollipop and the Crazy Horse.
I don't know if he owned Lollipop or worked there. He might have had a piece of it, but Crazy Horse was the club that he got.
And Crazy Horse was all live music. New
Rochelle, live music. I think that's where he met Matt Dillon, who kind of got Matt and Kevin, who got him, introduced him to the manager, Vic Ramos, and that's how Vinny got started in the business through Matt Dillon. And Matt Dillon's from Westchester. The club Crazy Horse was in New Rochelle, which is the town next to where I'm from, Mount Vernon. And so Crazy Horse was really Vinny's, kind of put Vinny on the map in a weird way. Vinny Pastore.
It also was a strip club in Vegas.
Yes, and it's also the name of the club in Killing of a Chinese Bookie.
Oh,
Crazy Horse. It's the name of Cosmos Club. And the name of Neil Young's band from the
Rocco's sitting at the bar. He lost the club. He's complaining. He lost at gambling, football. The place was a shithole. I took care of this place. The Vikings, they missed the extra point. Now I'm ruined. Furio, Furio don't fuck around. He's a nasty son of a bitch.
He's ruthless.
He's fucking a nasty bastard. And he throws the drink in his face. No
sympathy. No.
You bet with your head, not over it. What was that? The OTB?
That was the OTB
slogan.
In their commercials.
Yeah, bet with your head, not over it. So bet what you could afford. And he's still a partner. They own half the place. Now you know what's going to happen from here.
I directed a bunch of commercials for OTB at one point around this time. and I wrote them and directed them, and that was their slogan kind of thing. Mario Batali was in one of my commercials, and Jim, I think, was in one of them. But yeah, that was their slogan: "Bet with your head, not over it."
It's a Furio's not fucking around. Soprano House, the dining room, the family singing "Happy Birthday" to Carmela. The doorbell rings. Meadow knows it's Jackie. She invited Jackie. They're playing it kind of dumb, like he just popped up. But Aaron is there. Janice's born again boyfriend. Jackie comes in with a bottle of wine. He's very phony. He's playing them. He's very much like Eddie Haskell, like I've said in the past. Tony, Aaron says that Jesus doesn't go for alcohol.
Good Lord doesn't want us to drink wine. That was somebody I knew had a restaurant, and they were going under. And I said, this location's becoming, it was downtown New York. I said, it's becoming a hip location. You should open up at night. They were only open up in the day. And this person was born again, whatever. And I said, you should have drinks, have a bar, have live music. And he goes, no, the good Lord doesn't want us to drink wine. And I said to him, well, didn't Jesus drink wine? He said, well, that's Jesus. We can't compare ourselves. Which, I don't know.
It's funny, but
that is what it is.
Janice agrees. And, of course, she's got a ring of coca on her nose. Tony motions for her to clean up, which is very funny. Bad Detroit.
That's hilarious.
Bad Detroit. Bad Detroit. AJ is talking to Jackie about football, and he's a defensive
Jackie goes
captain.
to Boonton, went to Boonton. That's where Christopher went, Boonton High School.
Which
I didn't know,
he's ingratiating himself with the family, Jackie. Meadows very smitten, big smile on her face, as is AJ. AJ looks up to Jackie. Carmela likes having him there. He's doing all the right things here. The beeper goes off. AJ asks to stay at his friend Egon's.
Hugh goes, you're all out of your mind with these devices. He doesn't know what they are or what's going on. He's great. Tom Aldridge, such a great character. So well played.
Lollipop Club. Christopher drives up with Adriana. She gets out of the car. She's blindfolded. She says, I smell fish. Takes her into the club. Now I smell piss. It's a very funny scene. She's excited. She loves it. They bring out Rocco. Rocco answers to Adriana now. This is her club. It's a gift from Christopher to Adriana. She's going to book the band. She's going to do all that stuff. This is what she's been hoping and dreaming for.
And she's excited. I mean, the Jersey Shore has a tradition of live music clubs like the Stone Pony and the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park and stuff. And it does have a long tradition of live music, and he's kind of putting her into that realm, and she appreciates it. I think, he does love her. I think he really genuinely wants to make her happy. I mean, when you see them they fight a lot, and he could be a prick when he's mad, but I think genuinely they do love each other. And he really wants the best.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I don't think she's the brightest person, but she's a nice kid. There's no malice there with her. She's not undermining anybody or anything, right? You don't see any of that. No. Tony's eating cake in bed. I like when he eats like that. He's got it on. It happens a lot in the series where he's got the cake. I don't know how he's even eating that laying down. He's lying down.
Watching W.C. Fields, who was a favorite of David Chase's, and I think Jim. Jim loved W.C. Fields.
Carmela says, is there anything you want to say to me? Cusimano says a Mercedes is a midlife crisis mobile.
Oh, and he says, I'll look like a douchebag driving that little coupe. But she's saying, why do you have anything to say to me because of the ring? She's suspecting, is Is it out of guilt? Is it out of some kind of danger? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just a little bit out of character, and they've been going through a rough patch. You know, the last episodes this season, particularly season 3, they've been going through a rough patch in their marriage. Yeah. There's been a lot of difficulty. He's really happy in this episode, and I think part of it is I think he's falling in love.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, and that's why he bought her the ring. And Carmela said that Jackie Jr. comes up, Ro calls and is looking for Jackie, and they went to the movies. She says she never expected someone, Meadow, to wind up with someone like Jackie. And Tony goes, "What do you mean, someone like him? He's one of us." You know, she's being a little condescending here. She wants her to experience culture in the Museum of Modern Art, and he says, "You rather look at soup cans than be closer to home, and it's better than Jamal Ginsburg, Hasidic homeboy." So she wants. Carmela has this vision, very pretentious. Carmela is. Especially at times, she has this vision of her daughter being this, Manhattanite, going to
because she's not that at all. Carmela, no.
She's the ultimate, and she wants that for her daughter. And looks like Jackie is just going to be one of these neighborhood kids, going to be
worse, a wise guy.
Round and goes, correct. Tony says, "You talk to her and I'll talk to him." Meadow and Jackie alone in the car. Now, this I'm a little confused. I thought he had quit school. He stopped going. We heard, but yet she does the Edgar Allan Poe paper for him. He's
mailing it in. He's barely probably going. He's probably cutting a lot of classes and barely getting by. Now she's writing papers, so he's going to pass. Literature of Obsession, which was a class that somebody I forget who was taking it at the time, but that was a real class. That's why I wrote it in there. And it's a storm. It's rainy. They're talking about Poe. And he takes out she holds up a condom.
Yeah. She's raring to go. She just lost her virginity a few episodes ago. Now she's raring to go. Carrying condoms in a purse.
Yeah, and it's also reflective of Gloria a little bit. It's the women kind of being the aggressors sexually a little bit in this episode.
We're at the pool. It's after hours. AJ and his friends jump in the pool. There's girls drinking and smoking cigarettes. Suddenly,
that is one of the extras, is Stephanie Germanotta, who was 15 years old when she did this and went on to become Lady Gaga. It's one of the extras. Yeah. One of the girls hanging out, smoking and drinking. I think that might have been one of her first acting roles, but that is Lady Gaga in the hanging out by the pool as they start throwing shit in. And you see how things happen, right? They broke into school. They were going to go swimming. And then it's not like they set out to go in and destroy the school.
No, but they're a bunch of spoiled
it's
fucking
just
brats.
Stupid, dumb shit.
Drinking and they
showing off.
Now they're smashing. The girls are laughing. They're being entertained. They smash the trophy case. They just destroy the place. Totally uncalled for. Just totally
uncalled for. I remember once me and my friends broke into the middle school near our house and just rode our bikes. It was like a weekend, like at night, and we just rode our bikes through the hallway and then played basketball. We didn't break anything.
That's good.
But we broke in. We were driving our bikes all through the hallway, down the stairs and shit. It was.
And you got in. And nobody ever knew.
I think we were in middle school then. It was our middle school, and we got in and broke in. It was hilarious. I don't think we broke anything. I don't remember that.
The kitchen, Soprano house kitchen in the morning. Meadow, did Jackie call? He's outside. Jackie Jr. is outside. Giving AJ football tips. He's in the back. She says she wants a car. This Meadow is a nasty, nasty girl.
She wants a car now, yeah.
She wants a car so she could come back to Jersey to hang out with Jackie Jr.
Jackie. Why. They're also listening to Car Talk on NPR during this scene, which is a show I always really liked. I don't know if you ever listened. Do you ever listen? Well,
Those
one of
two
them
guys?
died, yeah, and then they don't do it. Well, the guy, the surviving brother, stopped doing it. I think not long after the one of the brothers died. But yeah, they were hilarious.
Yeah, but
Got
you
two
know
guys
what?
in Boston
I auditioned for. They were doing an animated series of them.
of Car Talk. Really?
Yes, correct. And it said, I'm not lying. Think Steve Schirripa of The Sopranos. And I went in to
And you
read,
had to audition.
and I auditioned and didn't get it. Swear to God, that's 1,000% true story. Think Steve Schirripa of The Sopranos. Show was going on. Remember,
You
I
were
went
too right.
uptown. What's that? I
You were
guess
too right.
it
Yeah.
said think Steve Schirripa of The Sopranos, and
So who got it?
I don't know. I don't know even know
Some
if
guy was a better Steve Schirripa than you.
I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are better Steve Schirripa.
Some guy got the role being a better Steve Schirripa.
I'm
If they
sure
think
that-
Steve Schirripa, you didn't quite get there.
Absolutely. She
That
wants
is
a
funny.
car. She says, wouldn't it be nice for me to hop in a car and have dinner with you guys? Now, listen, she's living a block away from Columbia. They're paying a fortune to go to school here for her apartment and everything else, yet she still wants a car to come back. He mentions, you had a car, Eric's. She says, are you kidding me? His father, Davey, from season 2,
Davey Scatino, the gambler.
he's in a mental health facility in Nevada now.
In Nevada, which means he went to probably Vegas or something, which was
Yeah.
a big mistake, obviously.
Or Reno. She's spoiled.
Yeah, Reno.
She's nasty. She's really nasty to her parents,
Yeah.
and she's treated like gold here. I mean, honestly, everything
They
she
put up with a
wants, she's
lot
got.
of shit from her, don't
There's
they?
no way. I want it in a million years.
No.
She says she tells Meadow, we want you to take advantage of everything the city has to offer, culturally, socially, educationally.
Right.
Let's take
I
a
don't
break.
know.
Let's take a break.
All right. We'll be right back. All right.
Soprano backyard. Jackie's giving football tips. Meadow comes out. They leave. The high school pool. The principal sees the damage from AJ and friends.
The wall
He's
of
looking
pride.
around. Catches the half-eaten pizza.
Principal Sincata, which I took that name from a guy, Dominic Sincata, I used to work with at the wedding place, Alex and Henry's. He was a maitre d', but was a good guy. I liked him. I used his name. It's not meant to be him, obviously, but I did take his name there.
Gotcha.
I don't know where he is these days.
Did he ever
The
call
pizza.
you to thank you
About what?
about using his name, Sincata?
No, I don't think so. No.
Maybe he knew. Now he does.
He used to call everybody Hammer. That was his nickname for everybody. Come on, Hammers, let's go. Come on, Hammer. Come on, let's go. We gotta go. Like when
Like a coach, he was encouraging.
he was like a coach. He was a maitre d', and we were all a bunch of crazy Italian kids.
The cops drive up to the pizza parlor. They have the evidence. This is a very, very funny scene. Really funny.
Frank Bongiorno plays Giuseppe, and Joe Bassino plays Little Joe. They own the pizzeria, and Frank, it's La Pizza in Harrison, another good pizzeria. It's still open today. So they found it at the crime scene, which really disturbs Frank. The fact that his pizza is somehow tied to a crime, he's very upset at this. My
He's
pizza
very
never
good.
hurt anybody, and I'll tell me their names. I'm going to put he wants to kick their ass that somehow they tied his pizza to some crime. That doesn't fly
My
with
pizza
him.
never hurt anyone. He says no bacteria here. They got the pizza. It was a custom job. The guy says so. They trace it back to AJ. He doesn't want to give up AJ, obviously,
He don't wanna
because he
give
knows
up.
who he is. But they have
He's
no
touching
choice.
it too. Touching
This-
the pizza. Though. He's examining it. It's double meatball, pepperoni, sausage, peppers, onions, and extra mozzarella.
This is a little like a little dragnet, a la dragnet.
Yes,
here, right?
yes, exactly.
Also, I haven't seen Frank Bongiorno in anything else. Has he done a lot of work?
I don't know. I thought he was very good in this
He
role.
was very good.
It was very, very, very funny.
Yeah. It's a really funny scene. We go back to the Soprano house. Carmela reprimands AJ. Why'd you do it? Answer me right now. Tony comes down. Look what he wakes up to. He's pissed off. He vandalized the swimming pool. Tony doesn't really understand how you can do
How
that.
could you vandalize the swimming pool? But, it's like he's asking why he did it. It's like there really is no answer. There's no why. My friends, we were there. Then, of course, that classic question, if your friends jumped off the George Washington Bridge, would you do that? But there really is no why. It's one of those things that just... It wasn't like they said, let's go in and fuck the school up. They just were like,
stupid.
Let's break in. And then they were swimming, and one kid threw something in the water, and someone else does some. Then one guy wants to top the other one. And Tony's really offended that it was on his mother's birthday. Somehow that made it even more of a crime.
Yeah, how dare you? And he corrects him, right?
It was after midnight. But Carmela's trying to say, and what, do you have a problem with the school? Do you have a problem with somebody there? She's trying to figure out what the reason, maybe there's a motivation. And there really isn't. It's just teenagers being stupid. And Tony's pissed off. Your football career is now down the drain.
He smacks him in the back of the head, but he should have smacked him harder. But you can't do that anymore either. No smacking.
You can on TV, though.
You can on TV, but you can't hit kids.
No, not in real life.
Vesuvio restaurant. Carmela and Rosalie are having lunch. Artie's really pushing this burrata and string beans.
Now, burrata and string beans I had for the first time right before I wrote this episode at Ago in West Hollywood, which is Paul Herman, who played Beansy. Was one of the owners. There's a maitre d' there as well. It's Agostino Sciandri, who also owns Sortino in Brentwood. But I remember Paulie brought out this burrata with string beans. I had never had burrata. This is around 2000, and it was delicious. Actually, the Sortino's is a great restaurant in Brentwood. The same chef. This was a delicious dish. I had never had it, so I put it in the scene, and props for Sopranos didn't know. Now a lot of people know what burrata is now. It's very common to see it in restaurants.
Then it wasn't?
In 2000, it was not, and the props guys thought I was making a mistake. They're like, there's no such thing as burrata. They got this kind of hard cheese from a bodega it was some kind of, I don't know, from another country or what it was. They didn't know what burrata was. They couldn't find it. They thought I was making a mistake. You could see it in the shot. It's not burrata.
Well, that's what I was. But, I have that written down. I said that's not burrata at all.
Props could not find it. They could not find it. And I know at Agos at that time they were flying it in from Naples.
Wow.
Literally, like a couple of times a week. They were flying that stuff in. But back then, nobody was really eating it. It was an Italian thing. It's delicious when it's made right, but this was a great dish. Yeah. Rosalie's not impressed.
No, she wants the hot antipasto. She's praising Meadow. She says that the kid, Meadow would be a good influence on Jackie Jr. Carmela says
she's all in with the relationship.
Yeah, but she says you better hang on to Ralphie. He's a good one.
He's
just
a
murdered
find.
a girl.
Ralphie's a real find.
He murdered a stripper a few weeks ago. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's also amazing in that world, in this mob culture, in real life, this mob world, the women do go from mobster to mobster to mobster. There's a type. And these kind of
You're in
women,
that world and you stay in that world?
Kind of. It's not unlike, is it any coincidence that Park Avenue women, whatever that is, they go from executive type to wealthy to wealthy to wealthy. You know what I mean? It's very much, you're in that world, you're in that circle. Rogue can't go and marry some fucking,
That's the world she circulates in, and she's a mob
she can't
wife.
go out and marry some high school teacher and bring him around Tony and them. It's not going to work. She's got to stay in that circle, and that's what she's done.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though when she says Ralph is a real find.
Yes, he is.
in light of what he does later on in the episode too.
That's for sure. Mercedes dealer. Here comes Gloria. She's finishing up with the client. Tony's waiting. Who's the douchebag? Tony, a little tinge of jealousy as he sees her getting out of the car with this guy. Little jealousy. You know?
Oh, yeah.
She says that douchebag buys a new 600 from me every year. He gives her a wallet. She doesn't seem that impressed.
Louis Vuitton. I think it's a Louis Vuitton wallet.
She doesn't seem that impressed.
She's working him big time. I mean, she knows she's got him. He wants to kidnap her, take her out of the, let's go to a hotel, take her to the Pierre, to Sherry Netherlands. She goes, I want to go to the zoo. She's a very different affair for him. I mean, he had Irina, who was a kid. I mean, she's like much young. She's like not that much older than Meadow. He's used to kind of, Gloria's a much more closer to his age.
She's a man-eater. She's a man-eater, that's for sure. I mean, she's a manipulator.
Very different type of woman that he's had an affair with before, and it's blowing his mind a little bit. I mean, he's falling hard for her.
They kiss. He looks around first. I mean, he's in the middle of. It's still a small town where these guys live. I mean, everyone knows each other. They kiss in the parking lot. She says she wants to go to the zoo. I go once a year. She walks away shaking her head with a little smile to herself. She knows she got him on the hook here.
She's got him on the hook. Yeah, he's kind of eating out of her hand right now, and he's not used to that.
No,
that seems to not be the pattern that we've seen him.
But isn't that a lot? Don't guys like, a lot of guys, not all guys, like what they, they like what they can't have, like a challenge. That's something completely different. There's a lot of guys and girls. You say, what are you doing with that guy? What are you doing with that girl? They kind of like that.
The rejection becomes a challenge, or the fact that it seems like it's not easy or whatever.
And also the grass is always greener. I mean, he's got a wife who's home taking care of the kids and the thing. And, this is glamorous. She's great looking. Took her on the boat. Blah, blah, blah. Now
she's spontaneous. Yeah, which is sexy. She's single. She's a little bit. She kind of walks on the wild side a little bit, which is very as we see a little later in this episode. Yeah.
They're in the back.
He doesn't know what's coming though.
Yeah, he's in the back of the pork store. Tony and Paulie are watching TV. Paulie seems to be kind of an expert on snakes. He's telling. They reproduce spontaneously. Now, the snake obviously is a symbol for Gloria.
Yeah, but it's also a symbol. Remember, we spoke about this, a symbol for Janice. Remember, that was that image of the vacuum in the pool that looked like a snake, and then it cuts to Janice doing the cobra pose. There's certain snakes, the females can fertilize their own eggs when they don't have a male around. So they don't need, they can actually give birth without a partner. It's called parthenogenesis. It's virgin births. And there's some animals like hammerhead sharks, Komodo dragons, even some turkeys that actually can do this. But there are certain snakes that can fertilize their own eggs. But Paulie takes it a step further and says, how can you trust a guy who literally can go fuck themselves, which is probably one of my favorite Paulie Walnuts lines that I got to write.
Paulie says snakes were around before Adam and Eve. There's a knock on the door. Here comes Jackie Jr. has a glass of wine, and Tony's kind of telling him what he expects from him. Now things have changed. You're with my daughter. He's giving him the talk. Jackie tells him that he got an A on the paper with Edgar Allan Poe. Tony's very impressed by that. Very impressed.
He's very impressed. He doesn't, yeah. Tony really lays it down and basically says, don't fuck this up. Don't.
Exactly. He's lying. He says he goes to class 3 times a week. He says, where you taking Meadow tonight? He says, Chez Josephine. which is your dear friend, the late John Claude, owned that
Jean-Claude
restaurant.
Baker. That's right.
And,
It's still open, 42nd Street on 9th and 10th. I worked there in 87, the year after it opened. And when I worked there, I was 21. Harry Connick was, I think, 18. He had just moved to New York from New Orleans. And he was the Monday night piano guy and would
you
sing
worked
and play
there with
piano
him?
every Monday night. Yeah.
And have you
he
seen
played
him
every
since?
Monday night. I see him once in a while.
I hear he's kind of a
Jean-Claude,
douchebag.
it was
Is he a douchebag? I heard he was kind of a douchebag.
I never saw that side to him. I mean, back then he was a kid. I've seen him very briefly after that, but I think he was 18, maybe 17.
I mean, I don't know, but
But,
you know, our dear friend Lon in Vegas and
Yes.
told me some bad things that I don't like to hear. I hope they're not true.
Well, I don't know. I never saw that side of him. I hope it's not true. But Chez Josephine, Jean-Claude Baker, who passed away 5 years ago, was adopted son of Josephine Baker. So the restaurant's kind of a shrine to Josephine Baker, who is a legendary, performer, dancer, and actress.
I liked it there. I liked the fried chicken there. Then we
Still
went
good.
there. Our families, we went on New Year's Eve, remember?
Yes.
And all night long, Tony Sirico said, "Where's the macaronis? I want the macaronis."
Tony wanted to leave.
So we don't have macaroni.
It's a French
Where's
restaurant.
the macaronis? The macaronis. So he lays it out. He lays it out for Jackie Jr. what he expects from him. Crazy Horse Bar opening night. You got Hesh there. You got Paulie there. Paulie gives Christopher a boost. He gives him an envelope for good luck.
Paulie's overdressed.
But Tony dresses like that.
And now Tony Sirico often would show up at parties and things overdressed all the time. Like when didn't he show up when Johnny V had a party at his house and he showed up in a suit and tie? It was a very casual kind of thing.
It was a Christmas party. I was there, and
all right.
The
it's a
party,
house party, though.
Say the party was like 8:00. Well, Tony got there at 7:45, and they were still
in a tie,
in a suit and tie with his guy, and he was still getting out of the shower. It was early.
Still getting dressed. So you say the party starts at 8. You're not going to get there at 8. You'll probably get there at 8:30.
Yeah, it's a house party, and they were in the middle of construction, so there was no door on the bathroom. So Tony had to take a leak, and he had his guy, Big Mike, there at the door. When Tony was taking a leak inside, he was guarding the door to make sure nobody came in. And it was just a house party with a dozen people, maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
Just
and
friends,
he was all dressed up.
Casually, he was dressed. A Christmas party, I assume he brought a gift, but Tony would do that a lot. Spray the cologne. He enjoyed himself. Drinks his white wine and
his wine.
Very pleasant.
Here he gives a boost, which is very much in character. Artie's dancing.
Yeah,
you catch that shot of Artie. Artie's really he's really.
I've seen Johnny dance like that.
Yes, he's really into it. The band is called the Miami Relatives, but it's actually the band Scout.
So why didn't you call them Scout?
State of Maine. I don't know. I think maybe it wasn't the full band. Maybe it was just the singer of the band and some other people, so they gave it a different name. But
gotcha.
Meadow has a poster of Scout in college dorm room.
Adriana introduces the band. The party is on, and it's opening night.
It's opening night. Hesh is there. It's loud. They can't hear anybody.
They ask Hesh, what do you think of the band? And he goes like this. He's the music expert. Crazy Horse in the back room or the bathroom. Matouche is selling ecstasy.
Matouche, that's Nick Tarabay, who's very good, and he comes back later on in the series. He does a good job with this character. And Jay Barea plays the bouncer. He's another good actor.
Comes out. What's his name? Benny Fazio lets Furio know. They grab him. They kick him out. Furio kicks him in his ass. He's not fucking around. Don't sell the ecstasy. Get out of here. I guess he was selling it before they took over the club. It's a no-no now. We're in the zoo. Tony and Gloria, they're watching the gorillas. They snuggle. Gloria knows a lot about gorillas, very informed, kind of like Paulie with the snakes. The eyes are innocent like a baby's.
I believe they shot this at the L.A. Zoo for some reason. If I'm
LA?
not mistaken, they couldn't get the zoo. I believe it's the L.A. Zoo. I don't think they shot it in New York or New Jersey. I don't think it's the
Really?
Bronx Zoo, and I don't think it's Central Park. I'm pretty sure they shot
Prospect
this
Park?
for
No?
something in me is saying they shot this in L.A. for some reason.
Well, we got to find that out. That gorilla, it didn't look like a Southern Cal gorilla to me. He looked like a Bronx gorilla.
He looked like a Bronx gorilla.
A New York City gorilla.
I used to go to the Central Park Zoo with my kids all the time. I love Central Park. I still do. I want my ashes. Now, listen, I'm going to read your thing. Okay. I'm going to host your Motherfuck the World video. You got to make sure my ashes get spread in Central Park near the rowboat lake, near the lake.
Oh, okay. The boathouse.
Yeah. At least part of them. Maybe some of them will go somewhere else. Some of them, if I go before you, you got to also get an alternative host for that thing in case I die before you do. Who's going to host the motherfuck video if I'm not around?
Really? I'm kind of banking on you being alive, man.
You got to figure this out.
It's going to be a problem for me.
But I love
you
Central Park.
Do you want it like sprinkled on strawberry fields?
No. You could throw it in the water.
Near the boathouse? What about some of our old drinking spots? Anything like that?
I'm not interested in that.
Okay. Nothing like that?
I love Central Park Zoo.
I was
thinking about that when I wrote it. It's a great zoo. The reptile house is always really hot and steamy. It's like the tropics. You know what I mean? You go in they have a reptile house, Central Park Zoo, and it's always really hot and humid. The thing that comes out here is he sees this Tibetan Buddhist thing, which is I totally forgot about this because I didn't really get into Buddhism till 7 years after.
I thought so. I was very surprised.
It's interesting, but he says my sister was a Buddhist. So there's the Janice thing and the snake thing. So there's Janice. He's connecting her to Janice, and then she says when she says to him, "You take your kids to the zoo." And he's like, yeah. And then he goes, see you later. And she's like, what? My heart on. You're bringing up my kids. He's trying to have this illicit affair. She's bringing up her kids. And then she says, poor you, which is what Livia says. Oh, yeah. And then it hits him. So she's reminding, she's kind of tapping into the Livia and the Janice elements. And he has no idea how much this is going to kind of kick him in the ass.
Yeah, but he says, he said, I knew that he sees this, the Tibetan medal around her neck, and then he says, I knew it had to be something. I knew there was something, because she was perfect up until that point, so he thought. And he said, that had to be something. My sister's Buddhism is a Buddhist. She's wacky. She's a wacko. Then the Livia thing brings up the kids. I don't know why he equates the Buddhism with the.
But Janice wasn't a Buddhist, I don't think. She was into Hinduism. Parvati's a Hindu name, and I don't think she was a Buddhist anyway. But he wouldn't maybe necessarily know that those distinctions. He tells her,
I'm crazy about you. He says, I'm crazy about you. Gloria says, I'm crazy about you. To him, he says, I never met anyone like you.
Yeah, she's taking him for a loop. Like I said, he's not used to this, and his affairs have always been, he's the one in control. Irina was kind of, young and didn't have money. Here's a very independent woman who's older, who's already been married, who's got, her own life. And he's a little bit thrown. I mean, she said, I said the zoo and you came, And then he brings up, is this like a head trip? And she's like, no, you're very sweet. You came, but it is kind of a head trip. Like
absolutely. She's playing him. She's manipulating him.
She brings up, you bring your kids to the zoo, which is also a very weird thing to say.
The kids were walking by. You saw the kids walking by there. Like a school class trip were walking
Right.
by, and then she brings that up. They go into the snake house. Tony and Gloria in the snake house. Gloria puts Tony's hand up her dress. They have
That
snake
white
in the,
python. That's a white python. That was my
and-
nickname. It's been my nickname for many years. You know that. You've known that for years, right?
Really?
No,
I didn't.
I'm kidding. This is one of my favorite scenes.
The white python.
There's something about the two of them. She's wearing red, he's wearing black. This white python, and it's just visually very cool. And
She's totally uninhibited. He's this beautiful 40-year-old woman. In the middle of the afternoon, he's going to shtup her in the snake house. Not
she's
every
very
woman's
spontaneous.
Not
and
every
very
woman's
risky.
game for that.
She likes to live on the edge,
and he likes that.
And it's exciting. He likes it now. It's exciting now, but
yeah,
he has no idea. He has no idea what how. He likes this is exciting, but he has no idea what he's playing with here because she's way crazier than he can even suspect.
Gotta imagine. He hasn't had that kind of problem before. We're in the apartment. Carlo, Matouche, and Dino with Jackie Jr. Jackie Jr. is acting like he's the Godfather.
He's Michael Corleone.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This kid is totally out of line and delusional. And he thinks he's a boss. He says he's going to talk to Chris. They're associates. He considers himself on the same level as Christopher for some reason. Christopher's a made guy now. This is nothing to joke about.
Chris is a made guy, but his father was the boss, so he's kind of feels like eventually he's going to be made. He's really playing up this whole Michael Corleone thing. He's got his hand on his face. It's very posed, and you know who my father is, and Matouche is like the golfer, U.S. Open, and Matouche doesn't know what the hell's going on. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
The high school principal's office, Tony Carmella, AJ, the principal, and the coach. What's that? He's a priest / coach.
He's a
Nikolai.
priest. He's a football coach.
And they have a strict policy, and vandalism,
Zero
blah, blah, blah.
tolerance.
It's all bullshit.
Which
They
is
let him
not
off
true.
the hook because they want him to play the big game on Tuesday. So they basically let him off the hook. They say we're going to leave it up to the parents to punish him.
Do you think it's also the money? The fact that they donate money?
I thought that. They donate $5,000. Not that big a deal.
Are they going to bill them for damages?
I would assume they would bill them all. Tony, Carmella's fuming in there. Tony is at first kind of playing along, and then he's kind of okay with it. All right, don't let him do what he's doing. We'll take care of it at home. That kind of mindset. It's like when parents. You ever hear the parents when they go, like with a teenager, they would say, "Oh, yeah, my kid did. No, he doesn't. He's not allowed to drink. We let him drink in our house. They could drink in my house, but they can't drink outside the house." Like the kid's 14 or 15.
That's a bad move.
Well, my daughter was in high school. I heard that a lot, and I had a friend of mine in Vegas. The kid, they abided. The kid would come home from school and do a double rum and coke, because he's drinking.
Old?
16.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That
never flew in my house.
The kid's drinking in the house, but you've heard that. People out there, I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah, I'd rather them come here and do it than be somewhere so I can watch them, which is bullshit.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine building. They have money. She lives in L.A. They're building, the kids just starting high school. They're building like a club house, like a guest house in the back, so they could all hang there and do whatever they're going to do. They're building it for them. So
that's enabling.
What are they going to do? Of course,
instead
of saying no, when you're 21,
when
you're 21, you'll do what you do. Listen, we know what goes on, but certainly not going to say, "Well, you come into the house." I mean, that's a common thing, I remember my daughter going to a party, and I called the father, who's a fucking doctor in Bay Ridge. And I said, is they going to be serving alcohol? And he said, well, we're not going to serve it, but we're not going to police it either. I mean, you're talking 17-year-olds. What are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about?
And so it's his house.
It's his house. Downstairs, he hired a bouncer, charged $10 to come in. My daughter said she had to pay $10 to a bouncer to come in. And my daughter was honest. I swear to God, guy's a doctor. He's still a doctor.
To go to a party?
So a party at the house to pay for the bouncer. So no fights or anything. And I swear to God. And he said, I'm going to be upstairs. We don't serve it, but we don't police it. I'll never forget the words. My daughter took car service in, bought a gift, like a $40 gift, and swear to God, had to pay $10 to get into this jack-off's fucking house.
Ridiculous.
That's a true story.
It's also really stupid because it's your house. Now you're responsible. These kids are drinking. It's like, you know, kids are kids. They're going to make mistakes and do stupid shit. It's just really irresponsible.
That's happened.
Really irresponsible.
You know, the parents in a lot of cases have gotten arrested, as they should.
Yeah.
You're serving alcohol to underage kids. Got to get the stomach pumped. They get sick. Blah, blah, blah. Bad move. I never did that, ever.
Now, I may have done, like, when my kids are with us and it's a holiday, I give them a glass of wine when they were 17 or something like that. That's different. Not a friend. I wouldn't give another person's kids something to drink. Maybe they had a toast or a party or something. That's different.
Two different things. So Tony kind of goes with it at this point. As they're leaving the school, Carmela is just livid. She's ripping. It's kind of a funny scene because here's this mob boss, big mob boss. We've seen him kill people. We've seen him do all kinds of stuff. And he's chasing after her as she is livid, ripping him a new asshole.
You completely sold us out there.
Oh, God. And he's going, what are you talking about? Hemina. This is good for him. We should keep this in the family, punish him at home. He's not getting off that easy. You know, we've been wanting him to get off the couch. Now he's playing football. You want him to miss the game. You know, it's
all this justifying stuff. And
it's really something. I mean, here's this woman yelling at this big, powerful guy, and it's. I always said that Tony Soprano, the family didn't care who he was. AJ's disrespectful. Meadow, the wife.
That's true. Yeah,
they just don't care. Murphy's office. Gloria's in therapy.
She's happy. Gloria's very happy.
Very happy. Over the moon happy. Big smile. How's your social life going? Nothing right now. She says, I've won a plaque from Mercedes. Business is good.
She dreamed about lighting the torch at the Olympics.
She's not seeing anyone at the moment. And then she says, let me ask you, like we talked about, she thought she heard Tony in the background. She says, it was the mechanic. My car broke down, and I'm offended. I come to you not to be put under surveillance.
And it is a little, I don't know. I mean, I think Melfi's a little, is she jealous?
Oh, yeah.
She's a little out of line?
She's out of line here. She's
taking
way too personal.
Too personal.
And she is judging, absolutely. You know what I noticed in this episode? Where the fuck is me and Uncle Junior? I mean, it's just like a get back? Because I'm not in the episode. And why is that? And I think at the time, I don't know if I was getting all produced, so you cost me quite a bit of money by not being in it. Did you make a conscious effort to keep me out of this for some reason?
Yeah. Actually, the reason I wrote this episode was to keep you out of it. That was the focus of my whole attention on this
I could have been at the Crazy Horse opening night. I could have been at the Crazy Horse.
You chose not to go. I told you. You said you'd rather have the whole episode off.
No, we didn't.
Sure we did.
Bobby could have gave
You were
up
home
booze.
with Uncle Junior.
I would have brought
Uncle
Junior.
Junior's home. You can't bring Junior. He's sick. He just had surgery. You're home with Junior.
My good friend, I would have thought I would be in every episode you ever wrote.
Well,
I got to be honest. I got to be honest. What's that?
That's not how it works in Soprano land.
I got to be honest. It's not nice. If I wrote an episode, you would be in it heavily. Heavily.
Well, some of them you were.
We're at the Bada Bing. Christopher and Silvio talk at the bar. Silvio says it's not all glitz and it's not all glitz and glamour. Wow, the Bada Bing is really glamorous.
Right.
He's explaining the club business isn't easy. I'll tell you that. It's a lot to deal with when you're dealing with performers. You're relying on them to get the customers in to spend money. And
Right.
you know, and
I
I
don't care
know.
if it's music, tits, or fire eaters.
Listen, you know I used to book all them acts in Vegas. Some of them, you want to fucking rip their heads off. You just want to rip their heads off, you know?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they're just impossible. Like, nothing makes them happy. There's some people, entertainers, that it's gone to their head. They're not told no ever. So it just, you want to rip their fucking head off, you know? I mean.
What about ventriloquists? Are they hard to deal with?
They're very, you know, it's no joke. The dummy's not a joke. I mean, they are attached to that dummy. And
It's
I don't
an
know
alter
if you,
ego.
and I don't know if you know, Elmo contractually could not leave that dummy in the hotel room. He had to take it with him everywhere. I worked with him a couple times.
Well, what was the contract?
So if you're on the road like Elmo, you can't leave it in the hotel room, and it's going to get stolen. You understand? When he went out to dinner, he had the Elmo in the case. He had to hang on to that Elmo always. I mean, when he was home, it's a different story. It's at the studio. I'm not joking. And ventriloquists are very attached to this to their dummy. Yeah, you know, I worked with Jeff Dunham, probably the biggest ventriloquist in the world. He had all them puppets, the old man and the jalapeno, and a very funny guy, nice guy, and he had them puppets. That's real shit. And then Otto and George, you want to see
You
very.
find it's weird, their relationship, the puppet and the guy.
I don't know if it's weird, but this is how they make their living. A lot of times they built them themselves, you know, or designed them and then had them built. Otto and George, you've heard of them.
No. I haven't.
X-rated ventriloquist. Look them up on YouTube. The filthy act, very funny. He died young.
The dummy?
Listen, the guy's name was Otto. The dummy's name was George. He was insult everybody. It was really funny. And then one day he was out there busking on the street, and he insulted a guy, and the guy punched the dummy right in the face, knocked his head off.
Punched the dummy.
The dummy. Swear to God. And he used to work for me a lot. He was an X-rated. Look him up. Otto and George, you will laugh your ass off. He died way too young. Otto Peterson, really, really good guy, you know. And his dummy he really was fucking dirty and very politically incorrect. And one guy stabbed the dummy. Also.
No.
I'm telling you.
Come on. Stab the dummy.
Otto and George, look them up. And I don't know if it's weird. Some of them are weird. I worked with a guy that had a dragon thing. I forget his name. I've worked with numerous ventriloquists, you know. I worked with a guy called Bobby Duck. GTO and Bobby Duck. A guy used to work for me. He used to do the duck voice. And he opened up for the Temptations at the Las Vegas Hilton. And you know, the guy asked him, who's your favorite black entertainer? And he said, Daffy Duck. And, of course, the crowd goes crazy, you know, because he's talking to the duck, get it? You know. So, and then when he died, this guy, I think it was JTO. When he died, I went to the funeral, and the coffin was closed, and on his back, they had the duck was on the coffin on his back, on top of the coffin.
Did they bury the duck with him?
I would assume so. It was a yellow duck. JTO and Bobby Duck, you could look him up. He was a funny guy, but he had the dummy, but you could see his mouth move, you know. I don't know what you call that.
Bad ventriloquist.
Nah.
No, I don't know.
Nah. But
You're not supposed to
he was
see
doing well. He opened for a lot of big people. Very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny. The duck was funny. Yeah. I don't know if it's weird. Some of them, I don't know if they don't sleep with them or anything. I don't think.
I hope not. No, that would be
scary. Remember that there's a scary movie called Dummy. You ever see that?
Dummy? There's
Dummy
Magic with Anthony Hopkins, wasn't that?
That's a scary one. I think there's another one, Dummy. Very scary. That Anthony Hopkins one.
Yeah.
Here comes.
But Silvio's giving his nightclub wisdom to Christopher. That's the whole thing about the show business, kind of giving him.
I remember Stevie used to give us words of wisdom at times. Remember? He's got
About
good
show
words of
business?
wisdom. Yeah. He told
Like
us.
what?
He would just tell us tidbits, and it was very funny because Stevie's a very funny and a smart guy, and I got a big kick out of that. He'd give you showbiz tips. He used to say you got to tip more. He used to call it Celebrity Vig.
Vig, right?
Celebrity Vig. You had to tip not only your 20% or whatever, you had to go on top of that, or people would motherfuck you. Celebrity Vig. Stevie's a big check picker-upper and a big tipper. Big tipper. Picks up every check. Very generous. Very generous. Yeah. Jackie Jr. comes in. He sits down in the seat. He wants to talk to Christopher. I'm surprised Christopher is this calm with him. I would have been more furious with him. Here he comes. He wants to sit down with a made guy. I'm surprised Christopher didn't say, get the fuck out of here. But he doesn't. But Chris doesn't want any part of it. He says, can't you let this guy deal in your club? He'll give you a piece. He says, I don't want any part of it. It's feds now. Blah, blah, blah. He's surprisingly calm. And
he's calm, but he's not giving him any respect at all.
No, but I'm surprised he didn't say, are you kidding me? Get the fuck out. How dare you?
Well, they did that job together.
I guess.
He drove him. But he does think he's kind of I think Chris resents him a little. That scene when Tony says, I want to keep him away from all this. And Chris is like, well, it's okay for me, but it's not okay for him. You know what I mean? I think there's that. Chris also, listen, he's a made guy. He's made his bones. He killed people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and he kind of looks at Jackie Jr. like he's a little bit of a, spoiled kid, he's not impressed.
Little Lord, what was it? Little Lord
Fuck Pants.
Fuck Pants.
He was a puppet and a ventriloquist, right? Little Lord
Fuck Pants, like Wolfgang Fuckface. Drew, our good friend Drew from Tribeca Grill, put up a picture of a bunch of people, and Wolfgang Puck was in the picture, and I commented on his Instagram last week, Wolfgang Fuckface.
You don't like Wolfgang Puck?
No, I don't like Wolfgang Puck. No, I don't like him at all. He's a disrespectful guy. That's a jock sniffing celebrity star fucker. Okay, you know a jock sniffer? That's what he is. Jackie Jr.
Steve, you got to save a few people for that video.
I got a list a fucking mile long.
You do. All right.
I've been editing. I
told you, there's interest, so you can't disappoint. You can't,
What's
you
it
don't want to
called
make.
again?
I can't.
What's the title?
Schirripa motherfucks the world. You can't, you can't fuck me over when you finally hand it over to me and I bring it to the networks and it sucks.
You're my dear friend. You're like my brother. You're like my brother here. I never say a bad word about you. Jackie Jr. picks up Matouche. He tells him it's taken care of. You can't do it in the club. Completely lying to the kid. You can do it in the alley.
Means it's nothing. And he's using these gangster terms like Godfather kind of isms. Like, this is all happening for a good reason now. In time, everything will be revealed. Reasons beyond anything you could know.
He's very vague.
This master strategist of mafia wisdom or whatever. Which is not the case.
He's completely full of shit. The kid believes him. He thinks he's got the okay to deal the X at the club on the outside. Soprano Kitchen, AJ, Tony and Carmela. It's a great shot of Tony and Carmela standing there waiting for AJ to come in to tell him what his punishment's going to be. No skateboarding, no DVDs, no computer, no Nintendo. He's got to clean the gutter, AJ, not the brightest bulb, has no idea what a gutter is.
And he doesn't. I don't think he really does know what it is. And it's all that whole thing. And you're going to do a lot of work around here, which they do make him do the gutters, but he probably didn't do much else. You're going to clean the garage. They say Jackie Jr. already did it. And he's like, see, he's pre-med.
And he's cleaning the garage out. He's at Rutgers. And, yeah. And that's a big, that's not much of a punishment for what he did and participated in. You know,
no he can't play Nintendo, ride a skateboard. It's all like the guy. They did serious damage to the school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was pretty bad, pretty bad. Crazy horse, Matusha selling drugs in the alleyway and next door. Bouncer grabs him. Furio points a gun in his face, drags him away. I could only imagine what happened. Furio, once again, he ain't fucking around. Federico plays a really great, mean guy.
Yeah,
really
he has no fear and he has no hesitation.
You are afraid when
he's
Furio
scary.
gets up. The hospital, Matusha's lying in bed. He is beaten up, broken jaw, broken arm. Jackie tells a stupid joke. At least you got your right hand. He brings him a Playboy book or whatever. Jackie is a fucking asshole. I mean, he's an asshole.
Yeah. And he says, did you mention my name? And he says, I don't think they like you.
I don't think they like you. You know, like in this scene, I could have been like visiting this kid. Bobby could have been.
No, you wouldn't have worked in that scene. That would have totally knocked the whole scene out of balance right there. You want to ruin my show now, my episode?
Even in this scene coming up, I could have did this.
Which scene? In Ralphie's house? That would make absolutely no sense for you to be there.
Me and Junior
You're not even friends with him.
I'm friends with Ralphie.
Not that much. You're not. I've never seen you at his house ever. Why would I put you in that scene?
Ralphie, we're in the Imperioli kitchen. Ralphie shows Jackie Jr. how to make a pasta and sauce. Is that your recipe? You put butter in your sauce?
I heard Francis Coppola do that.
Really?
Francis Coppola is a good cook. Butter. A lot of people finish pasta with a little bit of butter. When you tossing the pasta, that last step. So it's just about cooked. It's a little al dente, and you drain it, and then you toss it with the sauce while it's cooking. So it absorbs. It doesn't just coat. If you go to an Italian restaurant and they serve you a thing of pasta with just like the clean noodles with the sauce on top, that means they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah. They shouldn't be in business. That's one of the biggest sins in the world. That's like American bullshit.
Well, that's like cultural appropriation. Also what they do because it's pre-cooked pasta. They're not making. You know, they have it laying around. They're not.
Yeah,
making
that's crap.
It's dish made to order. Yeah.
That is the key step to pasta, is tossing it. If you don't do that, you're blowing the whole thing, because then it's just, it's just sitting there on top of the thing, and it becomes a disgusting mess. And it's very critical step.
Okay. Jackie wants a 38. He asks Ralphie. Ralphie's very accommodating, gives him his. He says, keep your money. Your money's no good. Jackie says, I just want it because. I don't know why he wants it. Protection?
Well, they got he goes, what do you want to get? I like to know the motherfucker's going to work. A 38 is small. We see a 38 in the scene coming up with Tony. It's, it's a foreshadowing of where Jackie's head is, which is not good. He's going to get in trouble, as is.
A hotel room. Tony and Gloria dance. This looks like they're at the Pierre or...
It's supposed to be the Pierre. That song is, make no mistakes, Keith Richards again. This is from his first solo album, Talk is Cheap, 1988, written by, and the whole album is written by Keith and our good friend Steve Jordan, drummer extraordinaire, songwriter, artistic director of the Jazz Foundation of America. Who I've been on the board of the Jazz Foundation for many years, the artistic board, creative board. Jazz Foundation is one of the great charities in the world. Yeah, if you're a fan of jazz and blues, they take care of elderly musicians that don't have health care, that, got screwed over for royalties. They help them find them gigs. They pay their rent. They fix their, heat, and after Katrina in New Orleans and
Right,
in New York, they help people.
During COVID, people need help.
And it's one of the great. If you're a fan of jazz and blues and you want to give back to those artists that have made your life better through their music, you look up the Jazz Foundation and donate. But Steve Jordan has done. He's just done a lot of work for them. He's recorded with everybody. He was in the Blues Brothers band. He was in the Saturday Night Live band, Letterman band. He's recorded with Stevie Wonder, John Mayer, Dylan, Neil Young, Bruce Springsteen, B.B. King. Steve Jordan's a great dude.
John Mayer, who made out with Perez Hilton. That one? John Mayer made out with Perez Hilton.
I don't know about that, Steve. Is that true?
That's true. They made out. That's to each his own. But I'm just bringing that up.
I don't know. I don't know.
They danced slow.
We talked about that at one point. Oh, he was in one of the episodes, wasn't he?
Yeah, Perez Hilton.
Perez Hilton was in the episode at the college when they robbed the box office.
They danced slow. Gloria says, "I just want kindness. I don't want anything from you. I just want kindness."
Which is bullshit. She says, "I don't expect anything from you except kindness. I don't expect anything except kindness." But she wants it all from him.
She feels the gun. She's getting undressed. She feels the gun on him. He says some accounts are in bad neighborhoods. By now she knows he's a mob boss, or does she?
Good question. We brought that up. Now she knows. She also accuses him of being in love with himself. And he's like conceited. She's like self-centered. You deprive yourself of nothing. So she's it's that kind of thing where she's into him, yet she's also undercutting him at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't expect anything except kindness, which is not the truth. She's expecting a lot more. And she loves which we see, the psychodrama and the drama itself. The lyrics of this Keith Richards song, it's not a cheap sensation when you touch me with your hand, which reflects the scene in the reptile house. A little complication, but he can hypnotize a man. How are we going to hide it? Cool song, cool lyrics. She's really also in the driver's seat of this relationship, at least for now. She's kind of calling the shots here. Yeah, and he's almost out of his element with her in a weird way. It's interesting. Listen, Annabella, I have to say, is fantastic.
She's fantastic. But let's look at it. Tony Soprano grew up, in the Kearney, Wayne, Belleville, Newark area of New Jersey. Now he's in West Caldwell, right? North Caldwell.
He lives in North Caldwell.
Okay. So, he grew up, he knows a lot of these people all his life. He's known Paulie and all these guys. They're associates of his father. He kind of grew up spoiled on the Jackie Jr. kind of train. So his
big
father,
fish in a small pond.
For sure. He knew Artie. High school, these girls... Tony was what he was. He got married very young to Carmela. And then the rest of these girls, he's been a mob guy. And that's what they go for. They're kind of gun malls. They're strippers. They're whatever he could grab along the way. I mean, he's not going to Manhattan and banging college professors. Not that I'm aware of. He's kind of, a small-town guy. You know what I mean? And this is somebody completely different. She's not cooking every... she's not cooking every Sunday and, doing all the stuff with the kids or running errands. I mean, she's glamorous. She's wearing expensive watch. She's selling Mercedes to wealthy people. It's brought up, you're a Buddhist, but you sell a $150,000 car, So it's a whole different level, different the way she dresses, the way she moves, the way she acts.
All right. Yeah, totally. It's a whole different ball game for him, without a doubt.
Melfi's office, she said, "You do look happy." It's kind of a mirror conversation that she had with Gloria. I feel, Did you write this? Did you write the Melfi exchange?
Yeah,
You did write this
I
exchange.
did. Yeah.
You look happy, I must say. He says, I am happy you have your good days, your bad times, your good times. I went to the zoo. It made you happy. And he praises her. It's because of you. Carmela's doing better, maybe because she came here to see you. And she's kind of back to her old self.
Right. But Carmela's doing better partially because he's in a better mood because he's getting laid regularly with this new affair that's exciting to him. So he's nicer at home. He's more thoughtful. It's very weird, because he was, his relationship with Irina kind of broke up or did break up. And then he was miserable and his relationship with Carmela was bad. Now his relationship with Carmela is good, yet he's having this kind of very torrid love affair. It's
and he's happy.
Up.
He's looking forward to it. This, in relationships, when you have them, he is very much, especially when it's new, he's very much looking forward to seeing her.
He's infatuated. Yeah.
When she said, I'll call you, well, he was waiting for that call. He is very much so, Melfi,
and she knows. Melfi knows it's Gloria.
Oh, absolutely. And then he says he takes out a bunch of cash. He says, let me pay my copay, but he's given her hundreds of dollars there. Kind of tipped her. Tip your psychiatrist is kind of a new one. That's a new one on me.
So your psychiatrist will tell you you're doing good.
Yeah, that's kind of a new one. I know you could tip doctors and all kinds of things, priests and doctors, but I didn't know a psychiatrist is a good one. Right? I told you that a friend of mine had cancer, and they would go to all these different doctors' offices to get the drugs. Guy wind up dying, but they would go to Palm Springs and they would give the doctor a few $100 like a tip
to get the drugs,
and then they would give them a prescription. Don't try to tip a cop. That's very risky. Don't tip a cop.
No, that's
very risky.
I've never done that.
Very risky. Melfi's the phone rings. It's Jason, her son. She says, I hate them all. They all lying to my face. I don't give a shit. Fuck them. I just hate them. And he goes, fuck them, quit. And then he tells her, I need to buy expensive books. She calms down, and she looks at the money. She'll buy her son books with the money that Tony Soprano just gave her.
All right. The strings attached to the gifts again. The gifts. There's a lot of gift giving in this episode, and it's lots of strings attached.
Tony arrives at the after hours casino, walks in. Jackie Jr. is playing blackjack. He's a smart ass. Jackie Jr., he doesn't know it's Tony at first. Tony says, hit me. That's your spot. You're a third baseman. He was playing first base. Yeah.
Always.
At third base. He gets in his face. This is what the fuck we talked about. Get your money. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see you here again. He's not happy. Don't come here no more.
He's not happy. He said, well, you're here.
Yeah.
Tony don't like that. Don't compare myself to you.
This is
the song
first...
playing there is Black Hearted Woman by the Allman Brothers, which maybe refers to Gloria.
This is the first red flag that goes up. Tony and Jackie. Maybe not the first, but, he stuck his nose a few times where it don't belong. But Tony doesn't like what he sees here. He just had this talk with him. He was kind of feeling good about it, going out with Meadow, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he does not like it.
He don't like this. Soprano Kitchen. She's reading a Sharper Image magazine, which I think might have went out of business. He kisses her good morning. He's in a good mood. New earrings. She treated herself to new earrings. I mean, does Carmela, does she need new earrings? I mean,
she treats herself. She buys herself a gift, another gift. He's very loving to her. He's in a good mood. He's happy.
But she just bought. He just bought her a $5,000-$6,000 ring. She needed to go out and buy earrings,
and she almost got the necklace.
Oh. And Christmas is coming. I mean, she's the most contradictory figure, contradiction, whatever the
In
fuck
the show,
I'm saying.
yeah, she's one of the
You get
most,
it.
yeah.
For sure. Ping pong back and forth, right? She's saying you about his son. You went along with it. She's yelling about all that. He got away with it. Blah blah blah. But yet, she knows where Tony
Well,
gets
the
his
last
money.
episode, she went to see that, the doctor, the psychiatrist, Sully Boyer's character, and the guy basically said, "You're an accomplice," and she's made peace with that. And if she's going to be an accomplice, she's going to benefit, and participate in the spoils. And there we go. Now she's surprised that Jackie Jr. He's kind of, although now Tony's kind of soured on Jackie, but she's kind of feeling good about Jackie because he takes her to the city. They went to see Aida, the Elton John play. Maybe he took her out to dinner in the city, fancy restaurant. So maybe this isn't such a bad idea. Although now Tony's doubting.
She says, I eat her. Tony goes, I eat her.
I eat her.
Silly joke. They're hearing banging. AJ is on the roof cleaning the gutters. Tony just nods as she praises Jackie Jr. Maybe this is going to work out. Tony's eating cannolis from yesterday's birthday celebration or a couple days.
I think he's eating tiramisu. He said the cannolis left. She said you could answer that yourself. He must have ate all the cannolis.
So now it's tiramisu.
I think so. And it closes with I Who Have Nothing, the song by Benny King.
Song.
The lyrics, I who have nothing, who have no one, love and adore you. That's kind of Gloria as well, because she really doesn't have anyone in her life, it seems, except for Tony at that point.
I love that song. I love this episode. You did a great job, regardless of not putting me in it.
It's all about you, isn't it?
Costing me money, costing my family money.
Listen, when I write episodes, the show comes first. You understand that?
I remember that week I couldn't.
What.
I remember that week. I don't think I could afford to pay my rent that week.
Yeah, well, you could have came to me and told me that. Maybe I would have considered.
I got to grovel.
I could have threw you a bone.
Yeah. Now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question is Robert from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Ypsilanti, Michigan. And we're sending Robert a pair of Bose headphones.
Robert asks, various locations in New York and New Jersey played such a huge part of the stories told during the series. As the series became bigger over the years, did the location shoots get to be more difficult? Are there any location shoots that are memorable due to fans showing up? Do you both have favorite locations? Yeah, I mean, it totally did change. Once the show became a hit, most of the locations we shot were North Jersey. We were like the home team. When the show was a hit, people in North Jersey felt a very deep kinship to us. And we'd shoot often in neighborhoods, working class, middle class neighborhoods. And it was a big deal. All those trailers would come. There'd be hundreds of fans sometimes from the neighborhood. They'd come out. They'd hang out. We had to have bodyguards. We had to have security. We had to have people, walking us to and from the set. But for the most part, it was fantastic. People were very welcoming and kind and, bring us food or whatever. We'd shoot in neighborhoods, they'd invite us in the restaurants, and it was really great. But I always love shooting the exterior of the pork store. I like that neighborhood. That's Kearny Avenue, yeah. I think it is. And there's a little Portuguese restaurant I used to go and have lunch, maybe a drink at lunch or two or whatever. I'd usually go by myself.
Cosarelli's is there.
Yeah.
It was great. We were the hometown team, like you said. The show became huge. People were very proud of the show. It kind of put, before The Sopranos, I felt that Jersey didn't get its due. It's a wonderful state, beautiful beaches, beautiful areas. They just thought of, Bayonne and Newark, and, you get that smell going across the river, and that was always the butt of jokes. But I think The Sopranos showed how wonderful a place it really was, and I enjoyed it. It was amazing because even the simplest scene that could have been shot anywhere, an alleyway, even this Crazy Horse, that could have been in New York City, that location. But
to make it easier.
To make it easier. Our studio was in Long Island City, which is right over the 59th Street Bridge from Manhattan. It could have been done there, but that's not how things were done. Very little. It was shot in Jersey. Like David had said many a time, Jersey was like another cast member.
100%. To not shoot there, to imagine if that show was shot in L.A. or Toronto or something like that, it would not have the same texture, quality.
You would know.
It wouldn't be
you
the
see
same.
that. You see that. That.
Yeah.
You notice little things. You say this isn't. If you're really looking, you could say, well, this isn't Jersey.
Yeah.
No,
I also loved shooting when we went into Manhattan and shot in Little Italy on Mulberry Street. That was a lot of fun because I like Little Italy. Yeah. It was kind of exciting to be in the city, to be on Mulberry Street. That was always fun. There's that bar, Maracchiato. We shot in that bar several times.
I never did, I don't think. I never did.
You didn't? Yeah, that was always fun. I also enjoyed shooting at Asbury Park. That was pretty fun, too. We shot on the boardwalk there. That's a pretty cool place to shoot. Atlantic City, the Borgata, that was a lot of fun.
We had a lot.
We were there for a while at the Borgata.
That was good.
We were there for like a week, I think, staying at the Borgata and shooting.
That was good. Really good. Yeah, we had a good time there. There wasn't that many of us, right?
Me, you, and Sirico, and Jim. Me, you, Sirico. Stevie Van Zandt.
Dan Grimaldi. I think Dan Grimaldi.
And we were living at the Borgata. We were shooting at the Borgata, and we were staying at the Borgata, which was a lot of fun.
And we were waiting for Tony Sirico when we were in the coffee shop there at the Borgata. We like the Borgata. Borgata, I think, is the nicest hotel there. That's certainly one of them. It's there in the Hard Rock,
Yeah.
And then we were there last fall, I guess, doing our conversation with
maybe around this time,
Yeah, they treat us really nice there. Yeah, very nice. All right, well, very good, man.
Robert from Ypsilanti, Michigan, you got a Bose headphones coming your way right now.
I'm like Norm Crosby. I'm like the Norm Crosby of The Sopranos. I get all these names and places wrong. Like he used to
you said
mispronounce.
bread and breakfast before instead of bed and breakfast.
What'd I say?
Bread and breakfast.
Yeah. I'm like Norm Crosby. That's who I am. A very old reference. The guy had malaprops for days. He didn't know nothing. I'm like, what's his name?
Little Carmine.
Little Carmine. I'm like little fucking Carmine.
Well,
thanks for listening.
On the show at some point. He will.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, we got little Carmine coming.
Ray Abruzzo. Yeah, he's great.
And Max Casella and a bunch of. Oh, we got some great guests coming up. Great guests. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. And right now, you can get official Talking Sopranos merchandise for Christmas or for any gifts that you need on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel.
Yeah, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever holidays you celebrate. You can't just say Christmas, Steve. Holidays, you gotta, come on.
Okay, so I'm all right. What the fuck? And just remember, folks, we got 50 more stories about me doing that voiceover. Thanks to Walter.
Every week you're going to be saying that story. Thanks, Walter. I got to listen to that story for the next year and a half. Our executive producers, Jeff Sussman, producers Andy Verderam. Our music composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together by going on the links at TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Eric Desi, Bobby Hutch, Frank McKay, Ty Verderam, Sierra Schirripa. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
This was a good one. I enjoyed it very much. Nice talking to you, and I will see you next week, pal.